Welcome back to the lab. Right, we're going to start the installation of a Link G5 Voodoo Pro ECU into this 300ZX behind us here. This will be a little bit, should we say, tricky. It's not going to be just straightforward because of the nature of the beast. This was a show car a few years ago. It has been apart and back together, I don't know how many times, a few I would imagine. There's been some pretty extensive modifications to the wiring system on it. So what we've got now is a wiring specialties harness in here that has been chopped and changed a bit to suit aftermarket coils. Somewhere here's the end of a bunch of wires, as you can see. Not complaining, but not labeled. So we have to pin it, figure out where they go. They're also not long enough to go as far as we need them to go, so we possibly will be de-pinning at this end and running wires back through or something like that to do a nice job. We've got, it's all brand new, so this is a nice brand spanking new grommet running through the firewall, get out of the way hose, as you can see there. And then on the other side is the dreaded spaghetti monster. So there's a bit to figure out here and go through it and sort it all out. It's not going to be terrible because they're actually a relatively simple motor and pretty simple chassis. This is basically the only power that goes, the only wires that go in and out of the chassis here. I'm not sure why there's an adapter harness between the two. Something to do with the aftermarket ECU that was in there in the past. There's a bunch of other stuff over here to do with gauges and stuff. We're going to ditch all bar two of those, and then we're putting a Link can gauge in there because that gives you effectively 12 gauges in one unit plus a bunch of warnings. So that is the modern way to do it. This is the 15-20 years ago way to do it. You'd have 6,000 gauges all over your car, but we don't do that anymore. So we're moving forward with that to newer technology. All right, let's get rid of this and start on the bench, I guess. Congratulations, it's a girl. Oh wait, no. I think that's a boy. Yeah, that's a boy. Oh, there's a lot of it, isn't there? How involved is this? Well, this is quite involved. It's not coming out. Oh wait, now it's coming out. Oh yeah, not too bad. If that's coming undone, yes it is. I believe that's it. There we go. So we'll just put that there for now. That's all we're dealing with. Not much, basically that. A few other bits and bobs, but not like a quad cam V8 with variable valve timing and all that, where you've got another couple of sensors and stuff. Rightio. I'm not going to worry about getting out the laptop with my pinout for the factory ECU just yet. Some of the stuff is self-explanatory if you've got a billion years of experience on these things. That's a depth sensor. I know that because it's just a shielded single wire. We won't be using that plug anyway. This is supposed to be a show car. This is a really big plug for a depth sensor. We can use just one of those little Deutsch connectors. This is much smaller, much nicer, or even that's a 3-pin, but you know, even one of these sorts of things. The customers supplied a box of these brand new. It'll be nicer, so we can start, well that's obviously an earth cable. We can start with, I've lost it. It's gone now. See, I had it and now it's gone because I'm talking, I'm distracted. Depth sensor, so that's one, that's easy peasy. That's an earth cable, that's easy peasy. That's some sort of aftermarket thing somewhere on the engine. Temperature sensor or something like that, because that's only that's a factory Sorry, that's not an OEM factory plug, that's aftermarket something, so chances are we won't even need that, so that's easy. Those two there, those are our VTC, variable cam timing. I know that because they got the same plug as the depth sensor, which is back over here, and people accidentally plug in the detonation sensor to one of the variable cam timing solenoids, get a depth sensor fault, a cam solenoid not working, and the car runs real poo-poo. And that's why. This one here, this is an aftermarket plug. This isn't normally in the factory harness. And that's going to be for the injectors I'm picking, because look, there's its counterpart right there. So we could leave that and just pull this from this harness all the way through here, chop it off at this end, and that should be plenty of length to put the correct pins in it and put it into our Voodoo Pro that's hiding in there. Again, another aftermarket one. That is probably our, you see that? Danger, danger. We nearly took that whole lot with us. It's probably these, which I actually think, yeah, it'll be that plug, isn't it? I actually think I'm going to move those. I don't like them being there. Show car, and we've got right there, right in front of us. Or at least put a different sensor on, so we've got the option of having a nice grey or dark coloured plug instead of this. Look at me, right on the front of the motor. That's not a good look. But anyway, that's all those taken care of, isn't it? That, I believe that used to be TPS. However, we now have, oh, it's not there. Fell for it, didn't I? Hang on. We now have an aftermarket one, but that's actually the same plug, I think. Looking at it, thinking about it, I don't have a Z32 lying around to have a look at and see, but from memory, that might actually be the same plug. I may delete this. You don't actually have to have an idle control. It's good to make things run nicer, extremes and temperatures and stuff like that. You don't actually have to have that. One of those is like an idle up for the power steering or the aircon, so we don't have to worry about that too much. And the other one's just idle speed control motor, and you don't really have to have that. You can set your throttles up so that you've got enough air so the engine will idle, and you can control it with timing, ignition timing, and with fuel as well. We did it on the BMW just because that's more of a road car, street car sort of thing than what this thing here will be. These came out all right, didn't they? Yeah, that looks good. So I'll have a yarn with them about deleting. That's another aftermarket one that can go over in our pile if we know what they are. And that'll be for the coils. Look, because it's got a big power wire going into it to run the coils perhaps. How many more is there? There's a big power wire, there's a big ground, and then there's going to be 6 more. Yeah, so that's got to be for our coils. We'll put that over there, we know what that is. All the coil wires blue? No, they're red. Anyway, never mind. Don't know what that is. Off the top of my head, someone's probably looking at it and knows what it is, but that's not Z32 plug. That's later model Nissan type stuff and things. Not a plug that they have on the Z32s from the factory. That's some aftermarket conglomeration. And yeah, I'd pass. Who knows where that goes. There's a heap of wiring that's supposed to be in this vicinity, and a couple of plugs from this relay box that aren't there anymore, so it's not going to be super duper easy. We've got to figure out a few things that have been done. Now that we've removed all the stuff and things we're unlikely to use, we've got a great starting point for our harness. Slightly taking the mickey there. There are some other things that'll be used here, and maybe one or two over here. I haven't quite figured it out. I thought I'd found a plug that we did need out of that stuff. I thought, oh yeah, there's a plug that'll fit on that, but it turns out it didn't. I may just chop that plug off there. Actually, no, he's got a box of these. Let's go looking for that first. was going to say I might chop it off and replace it with a Deutsch connector, but they're grey, this is black. Black's going to hide easier. He's got a box, probably has some in there. If they had a longer pigtail, it'd be nicer, because you can get it down, tuck it out of the way, and you won't see it. That's possible. I can do that. I can actually extend this pigtail somewhere else. Not ideal, not perfect for performance and longevity, but this is a show car and we want to make it look as nice as we possibly can. That's why some of this stuff here is going to be done a little differently, a little better. Very good. I know exactly what you're thinking. He's gone rogue. Well, I've gone rogue again, off track, doing things off subject for what we were supposed to be doing, and kind of sort of. So, not knocking what was done. There was what's on the floor. I guess that's knocking. It's on the floor here. There was some pretty heavy duty heat insulation around the depth sensor harness, which was going to be hard to tuck away and make it look nice. We've got something much prettier here now, and to get that insulation off, to get at the depth sensor, I had to pull the inlet manifold off, which is quite a task. You've got to take all the timing belt covers off and water manifolds and everything. It's a ridiculous amount of work just to change some insulation on the depth sensor, and also the plug. You'll see it's got a nice Deutsch connector on there instead of the big ugly factory one, so that's much nicer. Totally worth the hours and hours of, wasn't hours, but lots of effort. Except that we were in here for another reason. The customer's got the nice fancy adjustable timing gears on the exhaust cams at least. He's still got the variable inlet. They're not variable as in the ECU can set 10 degrees or 7 degrees or anything like that. They're just on or off, the old school Nissan ones. So they just, whatever it is, retard or advance by a given amount, whichever way they are going. I can't remember off the top of my head. So he wanted to clock the cams, get the cams dialed in exactly right. So I figured if I was doing that, I have to have covers off. To get the covers off, you've got to take the water manifolds off and everything anyway. And so then it wasn't actually that much work just to put the bolt in the tensioner, take the tension off the belt, whip that pulley off. That's out, sort out that depth sensor thing, put it back. A couple other secret little tricks I get up to in there, and then start on this whole cam timing thing. So you can see there's a degree wheel jammed on the front there, and there's a little pointer that I thought I had one somewhere, didn't, lost it, gone, made another one. And then I actually used the vernier calipers stuff down the spark plug hole to figure out where TDC is. There's a lot of different ways to do that. You can put a bolt in there and then you can wind it around and either side of TDC, make sure you got the same number and then take the bolt out and you'll be right, sort of thing. There's a heap of different ways. I did it my way, it's sorted. You'll notice anyone who's done VG30 DE or DETT cam belt kits, when you do the kit, you'll notice that although you've got the belt marks lined up 100%, you'll never get these top marks lined up 100%. So this one here, it's not quite right, is it? It's not quite 100%. It's very, very close. And this one here, again, it's not quite. It's very, very close. Probably a tiny, tiny little bit retarded. And then you come to the other side, and that's a long way retarded. That's definitely out. And so I've used the DTI, and I've used my eyeballs to double check and confirm these cams do run retarded compared to those cams. And when you're looking at crankshaft degrees, these turn half of the speed, right? So it's a lot. It's a long way out. This is why we always have bank-to-bank mixture issues on VG30s when we're tuning them. This is nothing new. People know this. We've known it for years. I've known it way back when I had the other very similar blue coloured Z. And there's tricks to correcting that. Changing pulley sizes or offsetting the pulleys and all that sort of carry on. You actually want to effectively make this smaller and that bigger as far as the belt is concerned, that then pulls those cams around a little bit further and aligns them with what these ones are doing, and then you'll actually get better mixture bank to bank, because as they are, just about every single one we do, we see there's a fairly significant difference in mixtures, especially under power on that, from one bank to the other. And it could be also something to do with the variable cam timing. Might get a little bit of crap in there and not actually travel as far as it should do. So I'm going to fiddle with this, get this right. It's getting a little bit late in the day. It's raining because it's spring. Daylight savings started yesterday morning, so I'll get you a video up very shortly, maybe, or we might save it for later. Either way, thanks for watching. Cheers, bye. A few seconds on the lathe, well, a bit more than a few seconds. It's beautiful, isn't it? Look at the finish on that. It's not bad. It's not bad. So now they're all retarded by just a tiny little bit. As you can see, there. I'd call that's pretty much fixed. We're on what I reckoned was 0 degrees there, but if we just carefully bump that so that, sorry, I'm not pointing the camera very nicely for you, am I? That one's now realistically pretty much bang on, as is that one. Maybe a tiny little bit late there. Maybe a tiny little bit late. Actually, that one is the 2, isn't it, really? Depends where you want to put your eyeballs for your iometer. There. So, I didn't actually do anything with this one, which is why they're all tiny little bit late. I just took some off this. I'm not going to tell you how much it is. It's not enough to affect the pulley. It's perfect, and we've now got all the cams are at least timed the same. Now it might be that they all need to be advanced a little bit or retarded a little bit. So basically an adjustable pulley here would fix that. I need to look and talk to some cam experts, probably look into what specs these cams are and just try and figure out where they end up putting the power and where we want the power to be, power and torque, and move on from there. I already said thanks for watching, didn't I? Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. All right, cheers, bye.